Good morning. This is AIMA Digital Preview, and we're about to start this webinar in cooperation with the Association of Young Agro-Entrepreneurs of CIA about Agriculture 4.0 and Mediterranean area, strategies for environmental, economic and social sustainability. We'll have a number of speakers, got started a bit late, so without any further ado, let's get started immediately. Technologies are fundamental for sustainability. Agro-innovation is fundamental for sustainability, so we're here to examine the repercussions of technologies in the Mediterranean area and the different strategies. We'll give the floor to Italian agro-entrepreneurs and some foreign agro-entrepreneurs from SEJA, the European Association of Young Agro-Entrepreneurs. This decade is very important for sustainable goals of Agenda 2030. Technology's got a lot to do with many goals. Let me mention Goal 2 on Hunger Zero and the importance of precision farming and digital agriculture to make productions more sustainable at the service of all populations. And of course, another very important goal is number 17 on partnerships for the goals, which is very much in line with today's webinar. So let's look at the situation and future evolution. I'll give the floor to Massimo Iannetta, the head of the Division on Biotechnologies and Agro-Industry. He's involved with the implementation of new methodologies and technologies to assess and monitor natural resources. Thank you. So let me immediately give the floor to Mr. Iannetta for his presentation. I'll let you know when you have 5 more minutes to go before your time is up. You have the floor. Thank you very much, Cristiano, and good morning to all of you. I'll share my screen with my presentation, so we can see your presentation. You're all set, so we'll be able to catch up with this minor delay. Please try and stay within 12 minutes if you can. My topic today is Agriculture 4.0 in the Mediterranean area, between utopia and reality. And then we'll see what that actually means. Let me start from the critical issues that we all know. We have a huge challenge in front of us in terms of environmental sustainability. We need to produce more and use resources more efficiently. And then climate change and impact on food security, on food safety and quality, then the issue of food losses and waste, and fighting food fraud. A central issue, however, is farmer income, which has considerably declined over the last years. Let's say that all these critical issues have an impact on farmers' income. Over the last few years, farmer income has declined considerably. Therefore, we need to pay special attention to this point. The EU Commission launched this framework program, a very ambitious plan, the New Green Deal, which includes a number of targets. There are 8 main areas which are very closely related to the sustainability of the food chain. let's look at these areas. Reduce by 50% the overall use and risk of chemical pesticides. Reduce nutrient losses by at least 50% while ensuring no deterioration in soil fertility. This will reduce the use of fertilizers by at least 20%. Reduce sales of antimicrobials for farmed animals and aquaculture by 50%, and achieve at least 25% of EU's agricultural land under organic farming and significant increase in organic aquaculture. Of course, we have to set against the right background the new framework program, Horizon Europe 2021-2027, which contains a number of pillars. Let me mention Pillar 2 on global challenges and European industrial competitiveness. There are different clusters. Number 7 is the one that is more closely related to our topic today. Food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture and environment. This program accounts for 85.5 billion euros, and to that we have to add the resources devoted to the development of large European networks, the partnerships, and the missions on different important topics related to science and society. The closest to us is exactly this one. Let's look at the challenges set by Europe. Building a robust and resilient agro-food chain that works for consumers, producers, to improve climate and the environment. In order to do so, we need to get out of the logic of the production sector and move towards the idea of production and territorial systems, a circular economy and bioeconomy. Start looking at available resources, starting from biomass of the primary sector through innovative processes and products for biomass to be used in the best possible way for agri-food production, as well as for a number of additional products in different areas, such as new materials, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, and energy. Therefore, sustainability for competitiveness of production systems. Promote the green, digital, and economic transition for a fairer society. So we need to digitalize the agro-industrial system. So research, innovation, technology and investments are needed, while at the same time developing consulting services, sharing of data knowledge, skills and competencies, thereby contributing to the EU Commission's agenda for a Mediterranean scientific diplomacy with a clear message of sharing these strategies, not just within our continents, but to be open to the outside, but while being focused on the Mediterranean area. So let me go back to the title of this presentation on the Mediterranean area. A number of initiatives have been launched on the Mediterranean area, kind of scientific diplomacy for the Mediterranean area through two initiatives. Let me first look at the PRIMA initiative, promoted in the framework of the Horizon 2020 program. Is a aimed at research and innovation in the Mediterranean area. 19 countries are involved, 11 EU countries and 8 non-EU countries for a period of 7 years, with a budget of about 500 million euros, 220 paid by the EU Commission, 274 paid by the Member States. Let's now look at the vision. Creating an inclusive, healthy and prosperous Mediterranean society through innovative solutions in agri-food and water systems, and contributing by the end of the program to sustainable use of natural resources, economic growth and stability. The mission of the program is to achieve, support and promote integration, alignment and joint implementation of national research and innovation programs under a common research and innovation strategy to address the different challenges in 3 main thematic areas: management of water resources, sustainability of farming systems, and the agri-food value chain. We have 12 priorities set by the strategic agenda, and we already have the results of the first 2 calls of the initiatives 2018-2019, 83 funded projects for a total value of 100 million euros, 736 research units in the Mediterranean areas working on these projects, 270 are non-EU institutions. So let's hope for this number to increase together with the percentage of SMEs involved in the projects. So the research and innovation projects, so very close to the market, with an approach on very broad issues. So let's look at the prima projects. We have management of water resources, alternative use of water resources, improvement of quality and availability of water in the framework or through the adoption of ICT and IoT in irrigation systems, an integrated approach to the management of underground water. With respect to the sustainable farming systems, we have the adaptation to climate change, promotion of sustainable agri-food systems, land degradation through genetic innovation, promotion of conservative agriculture, use of support systems of DSS and IoT systems for monitoring the infectious diseases for animals and plants. And finally, with respect to the food value chain, food waste and food loss should be reduced while promoting food security and promoting new value chains, quality and sustainable products through traceability. We have the ICT, the blockchain, and then the smart packaging to ensure that vegetables are kept fresh and uncontaminated, giving them a long shelf lives, introduction of innovation along the whole agri-food chain, and then the Prima Observatory on Innovation. Good practices are included in this container under this umbrella. Additional ones can be envisaged. So along these lines, good practices should be shared in different territorial contexts that can provide reference points for other experiences. the Technical and Scientific Committee, is working to bring the best experiences to Dubai at the Expo 2020-2021. Then we should, of course, look at the needs of farmers. Our analysis showed that precision farming and automation are two major pillars. Then, of course, we need to promote training and education on specific competencies for innovation. Clearly, technologies and knowledge integration will increasingly enable us to reach sustainability goals in terms of environmental, economic, and social sustainability. So, three different areas. So, new informatization of agricultural systems to increase efficiency and improve food quality, while optimizing use of biomasses and resources and creating added value within the value chain. This applies to the field crops, but also to vertical farming. This is a prototype of vertical farming presented at the Expo 2015 with a system of sensors and automation, making it possible to have crops that are controlled remotely, thereby increasing quality standards. So, an extremely interesting project. Let me briefly stop you. We've been able to catch up a little bit, but it's about 15 minutes. I'm going to leave you 2 or 3 minutes to come to your conclusions. Okay, thank you very much. Of course, this can only be possible by implementing a paradigm change, a transition from brown to green economy, a cultural shift for innovation, going from conventional technologies to the best available technologies and eco-innovation by promoting circular economy and bioeconomy. We developed an Italian platform for the stakeholders of the circular economy. We have a specific group on agri-food, the idea being that of promoting this transition. Let me now come to my conclusions about utopia and reality again. Many think that realism excludes utopia. We work in this sector and we need to keep our feet on the ground. So being realistic excludes utopia, according to some, because reality is to be accepted, to accept reality the way it is. But this is obviously not always the case. Being realistic means wanting to know the world as it is in order to change it and make it as close as possible to our desires and therefore approaching utopia. Utopia certainly helps us overcome the challenges of change and can give us the strength we need to make the world better. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this presentation. Let me make a few observations and then let's wait for Rudy to come and take the floor. I'd like to stress the word equality and the point about farmers' income. Going back to the title of this webinar, environmental, economic and social sustainability, I appreciated your mentioning of digitalization So we have been able to get an overview of the different options and opportunities. Your division's been working on different options, including vertical farming, as you rightly mentioned. I'd like to thank Mr. Yarnett, and I'll now give the floor to Rudy Malanchelli, being the Vice President of AGIA, so the Association of Young Agro-Entrepreneurs. You have the floor for a short welcome address. Rudy, you have the floor. Let me apologize to start with. I had technical problems with my Wi-Fi connection. I'm now using my mobile. I hope you can hear me well. We are here to talk about Agriculture 4.0. And of course, I'm speaking from an internal area of the country with very poor internet connection. I'd like to thank Professor Massimo Iannetta for his presentation. And, you answered a number of questions that I had in mind. The new EU CAP for the next 10 years will be focused on sustainability. Let me just mention the Green Deal and the Farm to Fork strategy and biodiversity as well. We, the young agro-entrepreneurs, as very rightly mentioned by Professor Iannetta, were called upon to take a challenge launched in Milan at the Expo, producing more and more efficiently, making less use of resources and reducing the use of chemicals, consumption of land, improving water usage, and making a better use of energy as well. We need to promote research and innovation in order to do so, and we especially need education. Sustainability is not just remaining still. It's about pursuing a whole range of activities, pursuing innovation of products and processes. When talking about technological innovation in agriculture, we can think back to the 1990s when the GPS and the satellite technologies emerged. The software used on our agricultural machinery, that made it possible to start developing the concept of precision farming, which is currently made even stronger by the technological development. Let me think of the Internet of Things or the use of big data in agriculture, combining environmental factors, climate data, and crop-related data. Of course, we can prevent certain plant diseases. If we want to reach 50% organic farming or reduce chemicals by 50%, we need to start preventing plant diseases or crop diseases and establishing the correct nutrient and water requirements of our crops. In this way, we'll be able to obtain quality and quantity benefits, thereby winning a double challenge. As stated in Milan, producing more with less. It would be a triple victory, producing more using less resources and improving food quality and crop quality. Thinking about Agriculture 4.0, I'm reminded of the conditions that farmers have to work in, traceability and certification of crops and productions at large. So I'm not just talking about being more efficient in the production process, but also in terms of exchange of goods. This is one of our main goals as young agro-entrepreneurs at AGIA. We feel ready, and more examples will be brought to the fore during the day. Let me briefly interrupt you because we have many speakers scheduled for today. Just let me conclude by saying that, of course, we can see a percentage growth in Agriculture 4.0. But if we really look at that, there's a lot yet to be done. Probably farms are not large enough for Agriculture 4.0 to develop. We have structural issues to solve. So many questions are yet to be answered. Before giving the floor to the next speaker, I'd like to thank our national president, Mr. Stefano Francia, for promoting this webinar, and he also promoted other meetings on these topics. I'd like to thank our National Secretary for working so many hours to organize the webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for providing such a complex overview, and you've given us a lot of food for thought that will certainly be further explored during the morning session. Yesterday, Minister De Castro spoke at the EU Commission resources for digitalization and for young farmers. So your call will not go unanswered. Let's now give the floor to some case studies from Italy. We'll give the floor to Carmelo Allegra. He comes from the central eastern part of Sicily. He'll be talking about cereal growing in Sicily. You have 3 to 4 minutes to tell us about your experience on these topics. So I'll be sitting there, I'll mute myself, and when your time is up, I'll let you know. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start by quoting Alex Ross, a professor at the School of Business in Bologna and technology guru for the Obama administration. Innovation happens when imagination meets action. And this takes us back to the concept of utopia. Utopia is imagination. I fully share the concept, and I also agree on sustainability. Let me introduce myself. My name is Carmelo Allegra. I'm a cereal grower from Sicily. I produce durum wheat with organic farming, and I also produce extra virgin olive oil. I would like to thank Federunacoma for giving us the opportunity as an association to take part in these events. As a cereal grower, I have to say that mechanization has always been very important for us. Since the introduction of tractors, we've pursued more and more performing machinery. Thanks to the assisted technology, mechanization has further developed. And now, of course, thanks to precision farming, we are taking major strides ahead to pursue innovative and different agriculture. Agriculture 4.0 is not spreading as fast as it should. In my opinion, in order to strengthen and promote it, we should optimize the conditions in which we work. We should have some facilitators like IT students and experts that could help us promote Agriculture 4.0, and we should receive aids from Europe to promote agriculture 4.0. We need to adopt a precision farming as much as possible, because when talking about producing more and consuming less resources, this is what we have to do. But innovation by itself is not enough. We, of course, believe in research. We don't want to accept an ideological approach to genome research. We have to tackle climate change, and we need new genetic resources. A very important innovation, just 30 more seconds. So innovation in this country is very important, while respecting diversity in this country, where we have so many different products. So biodiversity is our wealth and great value. For instance, in my area, a revolutionary innovation should be that of making internet connection available to as many people as possible. So we should think of our country in the future, and let's commit ourselves to take action to bring innovation to our work. Thank you very much. So, action, as you mentioned, at the beginning and the end of your presentation. So, we should not sit and wait, but we should take action. And the agriculture that we want must be based on innovation that has an impact on our work, on our fields. Thank you very much for mentioning the role played by research. Tomorrow, a webinar will take place on a new project exactly on this point, so you're very much in line with the spirit of these days. Thank you so much, and let's move from Sicily to Abruzzi. We'll give the floor to Enrico Calentini from Abruzzi, the AGIA representative of Abruzzi, and is an expert in renewable energy sources. Let's give the floor to Enrico on this topic. Good morning, Cristiano. Hello to all of you. Can you see my presentation? Yes, we can. Perfect. Thank you so much. Good morning, Cristiano, again, and thanks for giving me the floor. Hello to all the speakers and the participants that have joined us today. I'm going to be very brief. We talked about agriculture 4.0 and sustainability. So we need to mention renewable energy sources that are so important for our future. Just a very short overview. In renewable energy sources include the sun, the wind, the biomass, tides and marine currents and precipitations and the rainfall. So talking about solar energy, I don't need to explain anything to you. So thermodynamic and photovoltaic, which gives us the opportunity to self-produce electrical energy from solar source. Here we can see an example of a photovoltaic installation. Of course, this takes up land that could otherwise be used for agriculture, so there's a major impact on farming and biodiversity. This is the kind of installations we should move away from. While introducing the change that you can see, we're starting to hear about agrivoltaic installations. You can see an examples. They don't take up land that could be used for farming, So you see they are raised on top of the fields. There's a positive impact, so we don't lose any agricultural land, and we can even see an increase in yields of some crops. Negative aspects are high costs for installation and technological issues, because in this country we are lagging behind. Some interesting tests have been started in Germany. They've been working in this way for the last few years. Hopefully, in the near future, they can provide an interesting option for this country as well. Of course, we can promote photovoltaic installations on rural buildings, integrated and mounted on the roofs of rural buildings, thereby maintaining harmony in architecture and landscape while promoting innovation. So, batteries are being improved and new systems are being studied to store more energy, and our farms could be equipped with the electrical charging stations, such as the ones you can see on the slide, that could be used for the private market, and our customers coming to the agri-touristic businesses, or for corporate electrical vehicles. Because if I can produce my own energy, then I can become more sustainable also, and that's going to be cost effective, of course. I can reduce my costs considerably. Additional interesting projects have been put into place already to increase farmers' income. This is an example of an agri-camping. Just imagine if all these areas were equipped with a charging station, and in the evening, when the sun goes down, batteries can be used, so we could produce our own electrical energy, would become more sustainable and more competitive on the market. Because, of course, we would certainly be more attractive than other businesses. So we should increase farmers' income also in this way. Just one final minute. I know you're coming to your conclusions. So we need to promote an integrated national plan and make investments on renewable energy sources more interesting and put regulations into place. Our proposals are 30 more seconds, if I may. So 4% VAT rate for green buildings, deductibility of investments, increased rates for certain services, 20 cents per kilowatt to give more liquidity to these farms. Special measures for green-oriented measures. Just next generation funds immediately available, and new funding options. So let's try and reduce the amount to be paid by investors. So invoicing should be possible based on easier terms for people who wish to adopt these systems. We've been working on this in the Mediterranean area with the AGIA and CIA. We're trying to give our own contribution to innovation for the future. Thank you very much. A lot of energy, as we could feel from your presentation. Thank you very much for explaining what really an entrepreneurial mentality should be for innovative agro-entrepreneurs, and give concrete proposals and promote change. I think I have to mention your last slide with all your requests. We'd like to encourage the press and the organizers to please disseminate these requests. Thank you very much. Let's now move to Another topic on IoT, Internet of Things, technologies to be used for water management. And we have a video of Giuseppe Serio from Basilicata. Good morning, everyone. My name is Giuseppe Serio. I'm the AGIA Basilicata. I work in the province of Matera, Policoro. We produce red fruit. This is raspberries and strawberries. We have a project started a few years ago for the management of greenhouses and irrigation systems. This project is based on the use of Arduino, which is a prototyping card that many of you will know, with a microcontroller. And by using extremely cost-effective sensors, I can measure temperature, humidity, moisture, and I can check opening and closing of greenhouses and many other parameters. Similar products are already available, but our goal was creating a product which was scalable. Let me explain. So something that we could start operating based on specific requirements of individual farms. This is something that is already existing, but my idea was creating an open source product, and many of you already know what it means, a product that could be developed on the web, that the do-it-yourself 2.0 experts. There are many people out there that have the knowledge and are able to give a hand to develop the product free of charge. By developing an open source technology, we can expect great innovations. Our main goal with this project was creating a kind of control box that could be made available to developing countries such as African countries to promote technology and reach out to the farmers at very low costs. This is what the project was originally about. Unfortunately, I can't show you anything right now. We're going through a transformation period. Everything's been dismantled and it's been reassembled. So it's a transition period. However, my message here is encouraging young graduates, young people who are knowledgeable about technology, IT experts willing to devote their time and energy to help those who cannot afford to do so. This is something that is not just limited to developing countries. In fact, we can see some disadvantaged areas in Italy as well. Well, we had to cut the last part of the presentation. Sorry about that. The video will be shared with everyone at a later stage, but we're trying to stay within our time limits. I will personally apologize with Giuseppe. It's a very interesting idea. On Agronotizie, our magazine will publish something about this project. And we have another video now from a young French farmer, Julien Caillard. He is a cereal grower from France. So he will tell us something about the CEJA experience, which is the European Consortium of Young Agro-Entrepreneurs. Mi chiamo Julien Caillard, sono membro di CEJA. È un'organizzaone che raccoglie i giovani agricoltori al di sotto dei 45 anni. Io sono ceralicoltore della Borgogna, a 200 km a sud di Parigi. Ho 300 ettari di azienda. Vi sembrerà grande forse, ma nella mia regione, nella mia area in particolare, si tratta di una dimensione media delle aziende. Infatti abbiamo un terreno a bassissima potenzialità con rese molto basse, circa 5 tonnellate di frumento, meno di 5 tonnellate di orzo, e col cambiamento climatico abbiamo avuto addirittura una riduzione, 4 di frumento e 3 di orzo. La mia specificità particolare è che io non utilizzo alcuna preparazione del terreno per le colture. Per esempio, questo campo a frumento e orzo è in fase di germinazione e utilizziamo una coltura di protezione, la mostarda in questo caso, che utilizzo, diciamo, fra raccolti principali. In questo modo abbiamo utilizzato diverse colture diverse, il frumento invernale, l'orzo invernale, fava invernale, erba medica, sorgo, mostarda e tante altre colture. Quindi cerchiamo sempre di trovarne delle nuove, perché il mio interesse principale è per il cambiamento climatico che mi preoccupa, e vorrei trovare una nuova coltura in grado di crescere con poca acqua, soprattutto nella stagione primaverile. Non so se riuscite a vedere, ma proprio dietro di me si vede il mio capannone principale, dove ho 600 tonnellate di colture immagazzinate, e il resto viene direttamente conferito alle cooperative durante il periodo del raccolto. Come dicevo, la mia preoccupazione principale è il cambiamento climatico e cerco di perseguire una valida innovazione anche variando le colture. Abbiamo cominciato con la zucca, abbiamo costruito un nuovo capannone con pannelli solari, e durante l'inverno facciamo anche dell'attività con il legname. È molto importante poter avere molta legna. Ho un'ampia disponibilità infatti sul mio terreno, dove ci sono molti alberi, e cerco di trarre valore aggiunto da quello che è disponibile sulla mia terra. Grazie, questo è il mio contributo. So the main concern is climate change. As Julien said, he is the representative of young French agro-entrepreneurs. Thank you very much for mentioning diversification, looking for new crops, special attention for innovation, even in terms of choosing different varieties. Let's go from agro-entrepreneurs and case studies to our host. In fact, we're going to give the floor to Alessandro Malavolti, the president of Federunacoma. I can see him with us. You've joined us from Bologna, is that right? Are you speaking from your office? Let's give the floor to Alessandro Malavolti, who's going to tell us something about the role of Federunacoma in the Mediterranean area. So, innovation and sustainability. You have 5 minutes. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Let me apologize with you for the problems we had yesterday. Unfortunately, they were not our fault. There was a large operation carried out by the law enforcement community in Naples, and many servers were stopped, and we had a negative impact of that operation. Agriculture 4.0 and Mediterranean crops. So, talking about farm mechanization, we have to say 75% of farm machinery has been concentrated on open field crops that are not very Mediterranean crops. They are rather global crops, very widespread in the Great Plains in the United States, Northern and Central Europe, rice, potato, cotton, soybean, alfalfa, and hay. As far as Mediterranean crops are concerned, there isn't much mechanization, and so we need to promote agriculture 4.0. Something's been done on tomatoes. We are seeing some interesting innovations for vineyards and olive groves, some interesting examples on vineyards and olive groves in Spain. But then, in order to have totally mechanized and digitalized production towards the farm-to-fork strategy, less pesticides and fertilizers, we need to change the aspect of our fields. We have to replant our olive trees and our vines. We're working on Mediterranean crops. So horticulture, so fruit and vegetables, but this is not an easy task at all. In fact, we need to think about biodiversity, another important chapter of the Green Deal. We need to protect our Mediterranean peculiarities against standardization, and that is not easy at all. As mentioned by Rudy at the beginning, we need to promote traceability, especially for Mediterranean crops from the fields, and using data coming from sensors on the fields to optimize procedures. We are trying to introduce robotization for some crops, reaching a higher quality level. We are considering working in difficult areas. Electronics can help us reduce risks. In fact, due to climate change, our crops near to the sea or sea level are being moved uphill. Our vineyards have gone up above the sea level over the last 20 years. Industry is doing a lot, working a lot. A major step has been taken on open field crops. We're now focusing on high added value crops, the Mediterranean crops. In the next few years, we'll see major changes in this area. Thank you. Thank you for these suggestions. You've been very precise about the direction we have to go. I know that CIA is involved on the theme of hilly crops above the sea level. So investments are made on digital technologies, farm management systems, precision farming. Talking about agriculture 4.0 means considering different areas. Precision farming is not new in Italy, but the new approach is about combining data and sensors at the service of sustainability. Thank you so much, President Malavolte, for your contribution and also for giving us the opportunity to share this moment with you. You'll keep following us, but now you will digitally disappear. Thank you very much for your contribution. And the time has come now to give the floor to Samuel Mas, the Vice President of SEJA. Here you are. You just joined us. Samuel, he has a vineyard, organic farming, and he's been involved with climate change, environment and biodiversity, so he's the best qualified person to draw some conclusions on this webinar. Samuel, you have the floor. Quindi hai la parola a Samuel che ci parlerà della sua esperienza. Grazie, spero che mi sentiate bene, chiaro. Grazie di avermi dato l'opportunità di presentare il SEJA come vicepresidente. Cristiano ve lo ha già detto, presentandomi io mi occupo di viticoltura vicino alla città di Montpellier, che è proprio al centro del sud della Francia, clima mediterraneo al 100%. E quindi questo è un settore di cui mi occupo attivamente. Con mio fratello noi abbiamo attuato la conversione al biologico completamente, abbiamo dovuto affrontare tutta una serie di problemi e pensiamo anche al futuro, a come affrontare tutte le sfide che ci troviamo di fronte. Comincerei dicendo cosa significa innanzitutto agricoltura di precisione per i giovani agricoltori europei. Ci troviamo di fronte a grandi difficoltà, soprattutto nei climi mediterranei, a causa del cambiamento climatico. L'agricoltura risente moltissimo del cambiamento climatico. Ci sono molte zone isolate, anche nel Mediterraneo, persone che non riescono ad avere accesso a internet ancora nel sud dell'Europa e questo rappresenta un problema. Lo scarso accesso a internet che ci aprirebbe la strada verso le nuove tecnologie. Come agricoltori abbiamo bisogno della tecnologia, sia sui campi, anche in zootecnia. Certo, in linea di principio si potrebbe dire no, per coltivare i campi basta un terreno di buona qualità e una buona irrigazione, ma di fronte ai cambiamenti che stiamo attraversando oggi e grazie anche alle osservazioni di Massimo Iannetta che ha correttamente presentato tutti i cambiamenti cui ci troviamo di fronte anche per la sicurezza alimentare in Europa, soprattutto nell'area del Mediterraneo perché siamo proprio al centro delle produzioni di frutta e verdura per il resto dell'Europa e io so che l'Italia è un paese molto importante proprio per tantissime produzioni EGT. Quindi questo è un grosso tema di interesse per noi. Inoltre, come ha detto giustamente Massimo Iannetta, ha parlato appunto del Green Deal che ci mette di fronte a tanti cambiamenti, anche a livello di riduzione dell'uso di pesticidi. Dovremo incrementare la biodiversità in molti modi diversi. Per esempio, ridurre l'uso dei pesticidi e vediamo che ci sono anche correnti politiche che spingono in questa direzione, ma ci sono anche poi delle pressioni anche dal basso. Molti agricoltori dicono come possiamo andare avanti con le nostre colture senza pesticidi. E i giovani agricoltori come la pensano? Ne abbiamo parlato, ma c'è da considerare che la nostra generazione è nata con i dati, con le nuove tecnologie. Io sono nato alla fine degli anni Ottanta e adesso i millennial sono molto più avanti, anche di noi, sono molto più a loro agio con la tecnologia. Ne abbiamo bisogno di questi giovani, quindi posso dire che la nostra generazione può gestire la tecnologia con maggior facilità. Abbiamo bisogno di nuove tecnologie per ridurre l'uso di pesticidi e di fertilizzanti e anche per la gestione delle acque. È molto importante disporre di sistemi intelligenti, soprattutto in zone a clima particolarmente difficile. Per far questo sarà necessario un supporto attraverso gli investimenti e questo è quello che manca a livello strategico all'interno del Green Deal. Speriamo di vedere qualche cambiamento anche a livello di strategia nazionale. AGIA, per quello che ne so, è stata molto attiva attiva da questo punto di vista. Voglio ringraziare Enrico, Salvatore, il presidente Stefano per tutto il loro contributo. Davvero abbiamo bisogno di voi per andare avanti, perché posso dire ancora una volta che nei climi mediterranei in Italia, per esempio, sarà necessario davvero investire molto in nuove tecnologie per far fronte ai cambiamenti a cui ci troviamo di fronte. Spero di essere stato chiaro. Vedo che Cristiano mi ricorda la tempistica. Vi ringrazio ancora per avermi invitato e spero di aver risposto a tutti i vostri quesiti. Sarò ben lieto di poter partecipare ancora in future iniziative a cui vorrete invitarmi. Grazie ancora. Samuel, abbiamo ancora un minuto, parlo in inglese così mi capisci direttamente senza la traduzione. Ancora un minuto di tempo per un'altra domanda. Cosa pensi della dichiarazione di questi giorni relativamente alle future generazioni? Cosa ti aspetti da queste misure? Hai già parlato dell'esigenza di nuove misure. Che cosa ne pensi del futuro? Come ho già sottolineato, io mi occupo di viticoltura e ho grandi aspettative per la mia attività. Vi voglio dare un esempio a questo riguardo. Se vogliamo ridurre l'uso dei pesticidi, dobbiamo agire di conseguenza. Io so che l'Italia è già molto avanti da questo punto di vista. Anche in Francia ci sono nuove varietà che dovrebbero permetterci di ridurre l'utilizzo di pesticidi. Tornando alla domanda che io penso che sia estremamente importante sulle nuove generazioni europee, i giovani europei, per esempio l'attuale PAC non è adatta ad affrontare il futuro dell'Europa ed è troppo vicina alle grandi aziende, quindi io penso che si debba cambiare anche noi, come se già diciamo che abbiamo bisogno di una PAC forte che ci aiuti a far fronte a tutte le sfide che ci attendono. E speriamo davvero di poter avere un futuro davvero molto promettente, di buona qualità alimentare, grande sicurezza alimentare in Europa. Grazie ancora. Sicurezza alimentare, certo, è un tema estremamente importante non solo per gli agricoltori, sì, certo, per gli agricoltori, ma anche per i consumatori. Tu hai sottolineato l'importanza della comunicazione, la strategia Farm to Fork. È molto importante ascoltare i consumatori che sono veramente i destinatari di tutto questo. Ritorno a parlare italiano perché vorrei ringraziare te, Samuel, e grazie anche a Julien. On behalf of AGIA, on behalf of the President and the staff, I'd like to thank all participants, starting from Professor Iannetta to the organizer of the event. I'd like to thank Federico Nacoma and Mr. Malavolti. And I'd like to thank all the young agro-entrepreneurs who joined us to tell us about their experiences. It's a very important time for innovation and change and action. Innovation goes hand in hand with sustainability. Based on recent experiences, we got started. We're halfway through this journey, one step at a time. We've taken the first step, and having an exchange about these issues is very important, to listen to everyone and look at the future with a positive attitude. It's all for me. I'd like to thank the technical team for supporting us, and thank you to all the participants who joined us for this webinar. Thank you.